If you're on Tinder, if you're on Bumble, if you're on Hinge, if you're on Instagram, you're in the sexual marketplace.
I think if we can, because it's going to be pretty important, you've mentioned the sexual marketplace twice now, and some people that aren't familiar with that and aren't familiar with your content, can you define what the sexual marketplace is so people can understand what that is as far as intersexual dynamics? And then I think a good thing also would be to, because I read your book, Preventive Medicine also, talk about maybe the different phases of men and women. So as this conversation goes on, we can be clear about all the things
frame
we're
of
going to
reference. Yeah. Okay. Sexual marketplace, in the way that I refer to it, like a lot of people will refer to it in different means. If you're on Tinder, if you're on Bumble, if you're on Hinge, if you're on Instagram, you're in the sexual marketplace. And the way that I have defined the sexual marketplace in really all of my books, and really since even before them, is it's the if you're in the dating market, or even if you're not, even if you are married, you are still technically in the sexual marketplace, in that people are evaluating you as in terms of men, as your burden of performance, like are you a respectable person? What are your achievements? What is it that makes you attractive? What is it that gives you sex appeal? What is it makes you arousing? What is it makes you an attraction cue, right? And the sexual marketplace used to be what I refer. If you've read Positive Masculinity, I talk about this. It used to be a localized marketplace, meaning like your sexual marketplace when I was say in high school or in college was my circle of friends. If I was playing in the Hollywood music scene or something like that, or my workspace, or my school, or even my church, or whatever, that was a localized sexual marketplace, meaning that I had my prospects of getting with any of those girls, whether that's temporary, short-term or long-term, was really limited to the people who lived in, Southern California, Pasadena, California, right? Or wherever I was as sort of my localized area. Now in the 21st century, really since the rise of social media, along with globalization, along with, economics and everything else, and really, the things that we do here online, the sexual marketplace has grown into a global sexual marketplace. So now women and men are not technically limited to just the people that they know personally. They can go online and they can meet somebody in Seattle, or they can meet somebody in South Africa, or somebody in Japan, or something like that. And so even if that's not a realizable thing, even if it's like, okay, I can't really get on a plane and go to Mumbai to meet this person, the perception is that I have the choice, or that I have a greater pool of potential people that I could become intimate with. And so that's the difference between a localized sexual marketplace and a greater global sexual marketplace. So on the cell phone right there has opened up, the dating marketplace, the sexual marketplace, exponentially as a result. So another fact of life in the 21st century, where we have these old order ideals that are based on that local sexual marketplace, versus now women can go on Instagram. Instagram really is the number one dating app online right now. Mm-hmm. So how cool, you've probably heard me say this as well, is that in the 21st century, dating is really brand management.
Pat Roger family, how's it going? We talk about sleep all the time on this podcast. That's why we partnered with 8 Sleep mattresses. Now, this mattress is the Tesla of sleep. It's the Tesla of beds. Its technology tracks your heart rate variability. It changes its own temperature based off the way you sleep, so that you get better sleep every single night. It is quite literally insane. Check them out. Andrew, how do they get it?
Yes, and before I do that, I wanted to let you guys know that you can actually set the bed to wake you up silently. I know that sounds weird, but actually the bed starts vibrating around your head, and it doesn't wake up the entire household the way my phone used to do back in the day. So now I just kind of have the bed wake me up silently, and it's amazing. You guys got to head over to 8sleep.com/power project. That's EIGHT sleep.com/power project. When you guys go there, you'll see a banner across the top saying that you're going to receive $150 off automatically. So again, that's 8sleep.com/power project to receive $150 off your Pod Pro cover, or your Pod Pro cover and mattress combo. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to the podcast.
And so that's how you get a woman who is married, like say Aisha Curry, who still wants to be sexy and still wants to put herself out there. She goes on Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith and talks about how she feels like she's sexually invisible. The only reason for that is because she's got this in her back pocket, and it gives her at least the perception of this unlimited access, or this unlimited source, a pool of potential suitors, if that's the case. And so, and also another person who has been talking about, open marriages and polyamory and that kind of stuff as well. So from that, perception of availability or perception of like potential intimates, then we get into things like, well, why are we talking about marriage? Why are we talking about polyamory? So that's number one. Okay. So, and then you also asked me about, preventive medicine and the timeline that's in there. So in the timeline, I had the reason why it's easier if I explain to you why I wrote the book. When I wrote the first book, it was so significant. It made such a significant impact, and it still kind of does. I think a lot of people still refer to it as the original book as the Bible of the Red Pill or Bible of the Manosphere. But I had so many people asking me like, Rollo, I wish I would have had this information back before I got divorced, or I decided to marry this person, or I got into it with a single mother, or whatever, that kind of stuff. And they were asking me, I wish I would have known this stuff. And so that sort of triggered something in my head. And I said, you know what, maybe I can build a book based on a timeline of what men can expect at different phases of maturity when they're dealing with women. So I created this timeline that was from, say, about 15 years old, because I had a lot of teenage guys in high school asking me these same questions. So that's why I started at 15 and I went all the way up to about 50 for women, and what it was in different phases of maturity and what men could expect from women, relatively speaking, generally speaking, at different times in their lives. And so right around, say, 18 to 28 years old is what we call the party. I was being polite. I said, this is the party years right here. But, other people, not me, other women have picked this up and called this the hoe phase. Okay. So I was like, I'm going to have a great hoe phase. I'm like, well, okay, that's the party years. But
I've heard that come out of women's mouths too. So it's
whatever you want. Yeah, I'm going to have an awesome hoe phase and then try to stick the landing when I get to be like 29, 30, 31 years old. Yes, exactly. And so 29 to 31 is what I register as the epiphany phase, and that's when women are like, okay, I'm done with the bad boys, I'm done with the jerks, I'm done with the guys who, really what Sheryl Sandberg referred to as the guys you shouldn't like. You should date all these guys, but don't marry them. And then when the time is right, which is usually 29 to 31 years old, that's when you start looking for a quote unquote equal partner and you want to get married and settle down. So what it is it's sort of this inversion of like what women think men do. Right. They think that they have this unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, and that because we're all equal and we're all blank slates, they should have some sort of equal access to be able to do what they want to in their quote unquote hoe phase. So between 18 and 28 years old is where I peg women's like peak sexual marketability. When we talk about sexual marketplace, there's peak sexual market value is right around 23 years old. And there's numerous studies that back this up.
And for all the women watching real quick, because when you talk about stuff like this, I've talked about this with women too, because I do like to get opinions on this. They tend to hear that and be like, but that's not all I'm worth. And when you say sexual market value, you're not talking about the worth of the human being or how valuable they are as a person to society. You're just talking about the way our attraction as men to certain ages of women. That's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, men and women have different attraction cues. We have different reasons why we want to get involved with each other. For men, it's really simple. She's got to be hot and she's got to be available. That's pretty much it. Men's innate sexual strategy is unlimited, barring anything else. If they didn't have to do a, shuck and jive and be a dancing monkey or do anything performance-wise to get a woman left to his own devices, it is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. And if you don't believe me, just look at how online porn has proliferated since 2000. Okay. That is exactly men's innate mating strategy. Unlimited access, unlimited sexuality, and on demand whenever you want. I'm sure you guys have probably talked about, NoFap and right. Porn addictions and stuff like that. The reason for that is because our innate mating strategy is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. Simple as that.
Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel because we continue to bring you peak content on this channel. Obviously, you guys are here. You guys have watched the whole video. So like, comment, subscribe. All right. See you later.